I take care of the government PCS for F5 in India. And before I begin, let's talk about what e-governance is all about. Fortunately or unfortunately, ever since I have been with F5, I have been a part of a few large government opportunities where we at F5 as an organization had participated. Now first what e-governance is all about, and e-governance is all about, it's basically making the services accessible to an end user, irrespective of where the location where the user is located. The whole point why the previous two successive governments have been focusing on e-governance is because of the fact that it reduces a lot of corruption and red tape within the system, and also it makes the services accessible to the end user as well. So you don't have to for example these days applying for a passport, right? Ever since the entire system was digitized and transferred to TCS, obtaining a passport has become much simpler. You can book the appointments online. You can get an appointment online, and you don't have to depend on the brokers and so forth, right? So that's all about e-governance. And again, most of the e-governance project that I had participated in, at least had two common areas which were common across all these projects. The first was all of these e-government projects were talking about that whatever application which an end user like me or you is supposed to access should have an uptime of at least 99.999%. And if the application is not available, there were very strict penalty clauses that were there. And the second was again about the application performance, because everybody, as Rajesh pointed out, if as an end user I am going to the Passport Seva's website to actually book an appointment, and if that website takes around 20 minutes to load, obviously after a few attempts I will stop using the website altogether. So therefore again, from an overall perspective, from an e-governance perspective, therefore availability of the application, whichever e-governance application government wants to put online, and performance of that application becomes very important. And over the next few slides, we're going to talk about how F5 as or how the solution portfolio of F5 is exactly going to help you achieve that. So I'm going to just skip over these slides. These have already been covered by Rajesh. So first, let's talk about the F5 architecture. Now, again, the reason why we can do, the reason when we nice confident that with a F5 solution in your network, without any kind of application changes, your application automatically become faster and also are available 24/7, 365 days a year, is because of our unique full proxy architecture. Now, what full proxy architecture basically means in layman terms is, I as a proxy, let's say for example, I am the F5 device you have deployed in your network, and one end of the, on one end you have the end users who are trying to access the application, and on the other end you have the application itself, which the end users are trying to access. Being F5, what I do is I take requests from the user. I will place those requests, and once I am certain that what the user is trying to access is actually a valid request, I will then forward the request onto the backend server. So since I am sitting in the path between the end user and the backend server, I can act as a translator, and therefore I can tweak in whatever way I feel like the data packets that are coming in from the client to the backend server, and thereby I can actually make sure that your applications are available, and if needed I can also accelerate the performance of your applications without making any kind of changes to your application code. Because of this unique full proxy architecture, we are thereby able to offer a lot of services to our solutions through one single platform. So obviously one is the availability and the performance part that I have been talking about. We will also ensure that your applications are secure. We will also ensure that only authorized users are able to access your application, and we will also ensure that tomorrow, if for some reason you also want that users should be able to access your application through mobile devices, you should be able to, the user should be able to do so without making any kind of changes to the backend applications. Now, all of these services, as I said, because of our unique full proxy architecture, are available on one single appliance or one single solution. The advantage, from an organization perspective is that you don't end up having too many network devices to manage within your network. Right? So, let's say for example, if you had to deploy 5 different products to actually go ahead, and achieve these 5 different functionalities, from an operational perspective, your life becomes extremely challenging, because now you will have to hire 5 different people, right, who can train them and retain them, who can actually manage these 5 different devices. And God forbid, from an operational perspective, if there is some issue accessing the application, these 5 different individuals will end up fighting each other. That's what, everybody will try to pass the buck to the next person, saying that this is not my issue, my device is working fine, why don't you go ahead, and talk to the next person. So, again, with an F5 solution, you don't have those problems, right? You are getting all these features on one single platform, thereby, you are actually reducing your capex, and you are actually simplifying your operational structure. Now again, availability. So as I was saying, from an e-governance perspective, the government, has been putting a lot of stress to ensure that whatever applications, they are putting online as a part of the e-governance projects, they are available 24/7, 365 days across a year. And there are very strict penalty clauses, when this uptime is not maintained. Because in India, right, the concept of e-governance, or trying to access these applications online is still a very novel concept. Maybe 1 or 2% of the population, is aware of it. So now itself, if the application which the government is trying to promote is not accessible to the end user, obviously, this initiative, takes a down dive there itself. It will not go forward from there. And from an F5 perspective, these are the 4 ways, wherein we can ensure that your applications are available within a data center. So you will actually, we'll do load balancing. We will do a health monitoring to ensure, that whichever server is in the best state to serve the user's request, the request goes to that specific server. We will also, we can do a traffic steering. So for example, you will have, certain, portals that can be accessed either via a desktop or a laptop or via mobile. Now, typically what happens is you will have 2 different kind of servers, to give the content to the user. You will have specific backend applications that you have designed to actually give the content to the mobile users, and you will have, again, specific backend applications to give the content to the user if the user is trying to access the that application, from his desktop or laptop. And what we can do is, we're sitting in between, right, can automatically decide, that what is the platform from where the user is trying to access the application, whether he's trying to access the application from mobile or, from his desktop or laptop, and we can automatically redirect the user to that specific, application instance. And it will be seamless, the end user will not know it. And then connection management. Now, the previous slide was actually talking about, how do we make applications available within a data center. Now, most of the projects, the government projects that are coming up these days, typically will have a DCDR setup, wherein they will have a data center, a primary data center, and then they will have a backup data center as well, so that in the event if the primary data center fails, the users will still be able to access the application from their backup data center. This is the most common design approach that has been taken, and from a business continuity perspective, because this is the global standard as well, we are just now catching up to that trend. Now, with a big IP, with an F5 solution in place, we can actually ensure that in these kind of setups, DC and DR, we can actually redirect the user. So, for example, a lot of our enterprise customers had data centers in Chennai. And due to this floods in the last 15-20 days, they were still able to use their application, or the end users were still able to use the application. They were using a DNS solution from us, wherein it will automatically detect if an application instance in one data center goes down, automatically redirect the user to the alternate data center. And this will be really transparent without the user knowing it. Also, again, in a multiple data center environment, which is being implemented by the sector, you can also, so instead of 2, let's say for example, you have 4 data centers. And if you want, with a big IP solution in place, we can actually go ahead, and redirect the users to the nearest location, data center, that is nearest to the location. So for example, if I have 4 data centers, one in Noida, let's say one in Calcutta, one in Bangalore, and let's say one in Bombay, right? And I basically want, again, this is from a user application performance perspective, from an end user experience perspective, I basically want that, for the user to get the best user experience, he should be redirected, to the nearest data center. So I'm trying to access your application, from Delhi, so I should be automatically redirected, or the application should be given out or served, from the Noida data center. If I'm sitting in, let's say, in eastern part of the country, then since Calcutta is the nearest data center where my application is located, the user should be given the application from the Calcutta data center, and so forth. With F5 solution in place, you can do that. You can actually redirect the users, Facebook is one of our biggest global customers, right? And if you try to access Facebook, you will see they do not have a data center in India yet, but if you try to access to Facebook, you will see, that typically you will be served out of the Singapore data center. If you go to US, right, in US they have multiple data centers located, and depending upon which part of the US you are trying to access the Facebook website from, you will be automatically redirected towards the next data center, again, for an improved user experience, because the latency typically will be the lowest. Then, again, this was about availability. Then it's about application acceleration or application performance. So as I was saying, these days, it's very, very important, right, that a user who is trying to access your application for the first or the second time, the application should be served to the user as quickly as possible. So my earlier example, right, when I was using the Passport Seva website for the first time in 2010, 2011, and if that website would have taken 15 minutes to load, I am pretty sure I'd have gone to the office, and tried to book an appointment, directly, instead of, trying my luck, because that was the first time I'm using it, right? So application performance again becomes very, very important, with the e-governments, the governance initiatives that our government is taking. So again, over the next few slides, we will talk about, how exactly, F5 as a solution can help you improve the performance of your applications without making any kind of changes to your network infrastructure, or to your application infrastructure. So again, I'll not go into very technical details. Basically, this slide talks about, how F5 as a solution can actually, help improve the performance of your application by optimizing the TCP connections. Because most of the applications, be it HTTP, be it HTTPS, or be it are TCP based. And most of the time, if this TCP stack has not been implemented properly, you will end up, in spite, having the best, best of the breed hardware inside your data center, you will still see that there are, application slowness, where all of a sudden the application will be very slow to respond to. And basically, the way we fix it is by optimizing the TCP connections that is coming from the client to us, and again, the connections that are coming, going out from our device to the backend servers. That's in a nutshell. We basically optimize, as I said, since we are a full reverse proxy, right, and we have the full information of what the client is requesting and what the server is responding back, we can actually modify, these connections in whatever way we see fit. And we have inbuilt profiles, or inbuilt configuration settings, that is automatically supposed to, take care, of these common TCP problems that happen and optimize your TCP stack, and thereby it will automatically go ahead and improve your application performance. We have seen at least 20 to 30% of improvement in page load times, with just being a TCP stack being implemented within your organization. Then obviously, SSL offload caching and compression. SSL, is big these days because most of the websites that you will try to access, right, will, if you look at the right hand side of the, the left hand side of your browser, right, you will see, that HTTPS icon coming in, signifying that the connection from the end user to the server is secure. Basically, the data is encrypted. And because of, so many security breaches over the year, HTTPS is the way forward. All the new projects that are coming up, by default, it's assumed that whenever a user tries to access these applications, he will do it over HTTPS. Now, whenever you talk about HTTPS, the downside to is that your backend application service will have to do all the encryption and the decryption work, which actually puts a lot of pressure, on them, thereby automatically going ahead, and slowing down the performance of your websites or applications. We can actually help you with that by ensuring, that your backend servers do not have to do any kind of SSL encryption and decryption work. We do it on behalf of them, thereby automatically improving the performance of your application. Similarly, for caching, again, we can cache a lot of the content that a user is trying to access from your backend servers. Thereby, now instead of the user trying to access, whenever he tries to access your web page, instead of going to your servers and trying to get the information from there, they will contact us. We will give the information on behalf of your servers, thereby automatically improving the page load times. And similarly, we can compress the content again with respect to HTTP traffic, thereby ensuring again the performance of your web applications automatically go up. Now, again, the next few slides talk about how exactly we do again the web acceleration. Again, I will not go into I'll not do a deep dive into how exactly we do it. Again, these are some of the techniques which we implement within our solution to ensure that your mobile and web applications automatically become faster. And again, our real-time studies have shown that by deploying our solutions and by deploying, and since we use these technologies, we can actually accelerate or improve the page load times or the application load times of your applications by at least 30 to 40% in real-time scenario, which actually means a lot. So again, so we can do an image optimization, so we can automatically compress, the content, the size of the image, thereby ensuring that images load faster. This is very, very useful in the event you have an application that can be accessed both from your normal laptop or a laptop or a desktop and also from a mobile phone. Now, typically on a mobile phone, the screen is much smaller, right? And the data bandwidth connection that you have will be typically much slower than you have for a desktop or a laptop. What we can do is we can automatically detect the platform from where the user is trying to access the content, and we can automatically go ahead and reduce. So if the user is trying to access your website or your application from mobile, we can automatically compress the image so that now on a smaller screen it loads much faster. So this is just some of the examples. With HTTP 2.0, now again this is the next evolution of HTTP. HTTP 1.1, we have been using it for the past couple of years. However, it had a few challenges, few performance problems. So thereby, now we have come up with HTTP 2.0. And believe me, HTTP 2.0 is very, very fast. If you compare it to HTTP 1.1, at least 50 to 60% performance improvements you can see. However, the biggest challenge as an organization that you will face is you already have HTTP websites running 1.1, and you can update your application, web applications from 1.0 or 1.1 to 2.2. It's not an easy task. You will have to basically recode your entire web application. That in itself, is a huge effort. With the F5 solution in place, what we can actually do is we can ensure that when a user tries to connect to your web application, he gets by HTTP 2.0. We translate the request to HTTP 1.1 or 1.0, which your backend servers are running. When your backend servers respond back, we automatically go ahead and translate the request to HTTP 2.0 and send it to the end user. It thereby ensures that you are getting the best of both the worlds. You are still running your backend web service with the older version of HTTP that you are running, but your end users are able to use HTTP 2.0 to improve their browsing experience. Your website becomes faster, but in the backend, you are not making any kind of changes to your application. And again, this is again one of the techniques. I'll just skip through it: content reordering and content inlining. And this is our hybrid architecture. So our solutions are available in two forms. First is a dedicated appliance, wherein we will have our own dedicated appliance with our own custom hardware, and our operating system will be running on top of it. And the second flavor will be a virtual edition, wherein we will give you the software. You need to have a hypervisor running in your environment, be VMware or Microsoft Hyper-V or Citrix Zen or KVM. We will load our operating system on top of the virtual machine, give you the licenses, and that's it. You are good to go. Our solution is available in both the on both the platforms. Again, depends on the end user, which solution or which platform he or she will prefer. And again, these are some of the hypervisors that we support. We are available on public clouds as well, AWS, and Azure is not listed here, but we are available Azure as well. And this is our architecture, where what it basically tries to tell you is that even in government, right, what we see in the next few years is earlier cloud adoption, and moving your applications to public cloud like Amazon Azure was not very prevalent because of data security concerns, wherein there is a law, right, which mandates that no data, personal data, from this country should go out. Now Amazon and Azure both have established data centers within India itself, and thereby, it alleviates a lot of concern, which government organizations may earlier have. So now the data is within the country itself, and in some circumstances, moving to cloud actually makes a lot of sense, because you are basically, not building anything. You are just, hiring, space from them, loading the applications, and then using it. So, and the added flexibility that it gives you is, so you don't have to have a staff, to maintain your infrastructure, and also it's pay as you grow. So today, if your requirement is only for 40 servers, you can use only 40 servers from them. Tomorrow, if the requirement grows, you can use another 60 servers, and then, and so forth. So thereby, we feel that, going forward, more and more even government organizations are going to move to cloud, and thereby, our hybrid architecture plays a part. So it may be possible that in the next 6 months to a year, what you are going to see is, there have already been talks about it, that the most critical applications that you have, which you will have to have, which you will like to have direct control over, you may set up a data center, within your premises and host those applications there. A few non-critical applications, you may, which are not being used that much, you may move to the public cloud like Amazon and Azure, because you are not sure, right, as to going forth, how much their usage is going to be, and whether it makes sense, from a commercial perspective, to invest that much amount of time and money on it. So in that case, you will have these kind of architectures, wherein you will have a few of the application instances sitting on the cloud. You will have a few of the. So thank you for your time. I think I'm done.